Hi guys, my name is Lelasophia. I am an artist and fine jewelry designer. If you like contemporary fine jewelry, if you like luxury handbags, all things interiors, and I have some fun videos for you. Actually, I filmed and then deleted an entire portion of my most recent fine jewelry video because I was like, you know what? I have been seeing this designer over and over and over and over and over again. They need their own dedicated video. Everybody, I'm so excited to give you my thoughts and kind of a brief overview, third-party overview of Spinelli KILCOLLIN. First and foremost, if you guys are new here, thank you so much for tuning in. I can't wait to see you in all of my future videos. Make sure that you like this video, subscribe to my channel, follow me on Instagram at lelasophia jewelry. I put out videos every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, and so I cannot wait to see you guys in the next one. Okay, again, as I said, I've been talking about Spinelli since I have to cross-reference this, but I think possibly my first video on YouTube 2+ years ago probably went over Spinelli. I'm pretty positive it did. So I've been talking about them for the last 2 years. I have never worked with their pieces, even though I've worked in this industry. I did the math wrong. It's been 12 years now, or I'm going into it's been 12 years, going into my 13th year working in the fine jewelry industry. However, Spinelli has such an interesting story because I have attributed like many little peak, dare I say, in the fine jewelry world, this is like what I try to stay away from the most, but dare I say trending moments, okay? We're to that level. And they are absolutely experiencing one right now. I'd say 7 years ago, I remember I was working for a company and they had just stopped selling Spinelli, and I was like, oh, I love their pieces so much. I loved them so much that I then gifted a piece to my brother, which we'll actually go over, which I think is really fun. General overview, again, as somebody who has no ties to them, but has just known about them for I'd say the last like 7-8 years. I believe they were founded in 2010. So even given that, you know, I wasn't first in, but I also can say gladly that I wasn't late to the game. Spinelli is such an amazing LA-based brand. It is the sweetest duo of Eve Spinelli and Dwyer KILCOLLIN, and then became Spinelli KILCOLLIN. I just think that this, you know, here's the first thing that's popping into my brain. There's something about Spinelli KILCOLLIN that truly spans a very wide taste range, because ultimately I probably bounce back and forth. I'm trying to like recall back to what my first impression of them was, because there are absolute elements of like edgy kind of rock and roll, not quite chrome hearts, but there's a taste of that. Maybe that's just like the LA DNA that I'm picking up as such a New Yorker. There's something kind of edgy about them. There's something innovative, and yet there's something glamorous about them as well. Again, I think of LA, like high glamour. Spinelli is one of the only companies that I know of. I'm trying to think of some others, but they're one of the only companies that I know of that will do stones and silver, and will do silver mixed in with high carat gold, aka yellow. 18 karat, I believe they use 18 karat yellow and rose gold mixed with obviously white gold as well, but also sterling silver. That's such a cool element because it blurs, same thing as the first point, it blurs, you know, two opposing sides. The jewelry world is kind of like sometimes divided between whether silver and brass count as fine and whether, you know, it's 14 karat, 18 karat, 22 karat are the real fine ones. So I always say I'm somewhere in between, and I love a designer that blends the worlds, blurs the lines, if you will. Spinelli is, I think, the reason that I have attributed, I just had an entire conversation with Moon about this yesterday because I was like, oh my God, funny you ask. She asked, I can't remember if she asked if I wanted a Spinelli ring or have I ever worked with them or do I know about them or something like that. And I was like, oh my God, I'm literally filming a video tomorrow on this. It's crazy to me how wide of a reach they currently have in our little, Moon and I are, you know, clearly a same world that we all are in of this, you know, niche luxury world. But I think that Spinelli has really reached, not only infiltrated rather, not just our luxury niche world, but also the fashion industry, which can be sometimes very difficult for fine jewelry designers to kind of go outside of their norm, outside of their scope, and really infiltrating the fashion industry as a whole is quite a tall task, because as I always hint say, you know, the fashion industry is quite inundated with just the traditional Cartier, Van Cleef, Tiffany, the heritage brands. And so Spinelli being able to have this wide of a voice to reach this many people, to have people who normally don't talk about fine jewelry designers asking me my thoughts on Spinelli, I think is pretty incredible, and really points to my thoughts on how, you know, in such a really beautiful way, they're able to delicately blur lines, which I think is just incredible. Something that I think is really interesting about Spinelli is that at the end of the day, it is one of the most simple concepts in the jewelry industry I've ever personally experienced and seen, and I mean that as the utmost compliment, because truly, when you think about it, it is bands on top of bands on top of bands on top of bands. The entire kind of inception story of Spinelli that really hasn't changed much since 2010, since they started, which is why I think it's really fascinating and cool to be doing this video, is because their original ethos, from what I remember discovering however many 7-8 years into their, you know, birth as designers, in this iteration at least, truly their thesis statement, their inception, their brand story, at least from an outsider's perspective, of rings on top of rings connected by rings, is still exactly the same. And those same core collection pieces are still exactly the same from when I was obsessively searching for a ring for my brother, however many, again, 7 years ago, I think in between, maybe let's say 6.5 years ago. And so truly at its core, the essential ethos of Spinelli to me is connecting very, very, very simple, beautiful, timeless, absolutely timeless rings with then other rings, and it's that mix and match. It's the dance between colors, it's the dance between stones, it's the dance, even the monochromatic ones, meaning the all same metal ones, still have this element. But to me, Spinelli is so, when I think of a Spinelli ring, I probably think of one that I tried on at RIP Toto Cayo, which sold them, and I loved Toto Cayo. And they, you know, they were just on Crosby Street. They were a block away from me for literally years. And so I would go into Toto Cayo. I would freaking Toto Cayo kind of a lot. And I think of a rose gold, which I'm not a rose gold girl. Okay, it's not my vibe. It does not look good on me. But I've never seen rose gold look so cool as in this one Spinelli ring, which I will find photos of, mark my words, and insert here. And I believe, if my photographic memory is serving me right, and we'll see, because I did not cross-reference this before talking about it, didn't know I was going to talk about this. It was a rose gold ring with also elements of yellow gold, and then like champagne, possibly brown, possibly yellow, but I know like somewhere in between there, diamonds. I think of the mixing of metals, and I don't think any designer does it as good as Spinelli KILCOLLIN, does it as well, rather, as Spinelli KILCOLLIN. The mixing of metals, again, something that I shy away from. I don't do as a designer, as we can tell, but I also just is not my wheelhouse. Mixing metal colors, I like to style occasionally, but for sure it is just so far out of my scope. And so for me, a critic of mixing metal tones, even if it's all 18 karat, when we do some white gold / sterling silver / yellow gold / rose gold, like that, for me to love a piece that has all three of those elements, and then interchangeable, beautiful kind of mixing of diamond colors and stones, that is impressive in my brain. To kind of have so many elements on such a small little piece, I think is where Spinelli does magic, quite frankly. And the other element that is so indicative of their style, I remember like this really being a huge part of their, I don't know, of when I discovered them, of kind of their ethos, is that those rings, if you have more than one, quite literally, if you have more than one on a Spinelli ring, if you have more than one ring on a Spinelli ring, stick with me here, people, I'm so sorry for being so confusing. The coolest thing is that you can stack them one on top of each other on one finger, or you can put them on multiple fingers, and that, I think is again so indicative of Spinelli. The mixing of colors and the mixing of stone colors and the different ways in which you can play with one ring. So I think one of their major selling points for a lot of people is truly showing how versatile one simple ring can be within your collection. Now cut to, I'd say for the last like 6 months, I mean, obviously, you know, more than that, but especially the last 6 months, and then really the last like 3 months, I have been seeing influencers who I love and have followed for years and have never been fine jewelry people and have never really talked about jewelry. All of a sudden, Spinelli is the one brand they talk about. I was just watching a Christy Tyler vlog, her newest one, and she was wearing a Spinelli ring. I was like, what? I know Alyssa Lenore. I know so many people that have Spinelli rings that I wouldn't have put 2 and 2 together for that to be their go-to fine jewelry designer. And then when it happens, I'm like, oh, this makes so much sense. It's so perfect. Again, I think primarily for the versatility of Spinelli. And I'm loving seeing that, like, it is kind of, I'm wondering, I didn't put 2 and 2 together, but I'm wondering if it is a bit of a gateway into the fine jewelry world simply because of that, simply because of the versatility. Take a drink of water every time I say versatility, apparently, in this video. Because of the versatility, because of the blending of styles, you know what I mean? Like, you can get the most simple Spinelli ring and yet you can have like 3 and really stack them up and have really like incredibly intricate ones. And so that's quite incredible for one designer to offer to so many different styles. And so I've been fascinated seeing how many people that I just organically follow post their Spinelli rings. And I thought to end this video, I'm going to give you my 3 favorite pieces by Spinelli, because there is one that I, again, for years, and I say probably 7 years, there's one that is ironic because it has nothing to do with what I should like. If you see where I'm going, this is a weird cryptic way of starting this. They have an amazing zodiac collection, and even though I'm a Virgo, the Leo ring has called my name for years. It is it is my Spinelli ring / but I don't own it yet. You know what I mean? Like, it is my favorite Spinelli ring I've ever seen. That rose gold one that I tried on was pretty incredible, but then I kept going back to this one. I just think, you know what? Again, I didn't think of this either. The Leo ring, I think, encompasses pretty much all of those elements that I've spoken about. There's a mixing of metals, and yet it's like, it's giving a little edgy, but it's also giving like high glamour, honey. Like, it is so stunning. That would for sure, you know, barring, you know, excluding the price of that. Of course, I chose one of the most expensive ones. Other than that, and not even, because they have like gorgeous, very chunky diamonds, I would absolutely rock that, absolutely. The Reigneth is, I think, how I should say it. I don't know, please correct me if I'm wrong. The Reigneth ring is what I got for my brother, and I love that ring. I think it is, I probably ummed and awed for like months, knowing me, or weeks at least, let's be, you know, nice to myself, but I'm a planner, okay? I probably ummed and awed for so long. I probably asked like so many people's opinions. So if you were part of that group, thank you. But it just seemed so appropriate. It seemed so cool. And again, versatile. It's so funny because my brother's style changes quite literally on like a quarterly basis out of the year. He started off, when I got him that ring, he was probably much edgier and had much chunkier jewelry, like the Great Frog and for sure Chrome Hearts, and I can't remember who else he would purchase, but that seemed like the most toned down rings after he got it. He does have one of like the like Juste un Clos of Chrome Hearts. He has the nail Chrome Hearts ring, and those 2 I think looked really cool together. And then his style got to be much more, in jewelry at least, like it's gone maximal to minimal, it's gone conservative to edgy, so it kind of changes all the time, but I thought it mixed really well when he was wearing silver jewelry. And here's the coolest part, is that even with his gold jewelry that he's wearing now, once he kind of switched, I think he still dabbles in both, I think the Raineth style will still look really pretty even with an all gold stack. And to mix in one of my other favorite categories, okay? To mix in one of my other favorite categories, let me say it in a normal voice. The Elara ear cuff is genius. Let's just go ahead and say it. The Elara ear cuff, genius. Because this is where the magic happens for me, okay? This is where I get excited because thinking of taking the essence of Spinelli rings, but putting it into an ear cuff, just that little tiny ring that goes around the ear cuff, that's enough. That does it. And that is genius and brilliant and quite hard to do, meaning thinking of something so simple, yet that if somebody were to be wearing it and not know that it's Spinelli, but you're a Spinelli fan, you might be like, that looks like a Spinelli. Subtle touch. Like, you would probably come to the conclusion that that is Spinelli KILCOLLIN, and that's why I think it's amazing. You know, I'm a sucker for an ear cuff, so I just had to mention it, and I love all three of these pieces. I can't wait to hear down below if you guys are thinking about one, if you have one already. I'm fascinated by this topic, and I cannot wait to see you in my next one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye, guys.